Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's August 12th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and you can see another big bullish day here. We came very close to making an all-time new high. This high is 64.6850, and we got to we did make a new high, 64.70. Is that right? 64.6850. Yeah, we made a new high here. So we did make a new high for all-time high today. So this market just keeps creeping higher, creeping higher, and creeping higher. And this was a really good trading day. Lots of trades. It's about 5 minutes to the market closes. It looks like we're going to close almost on the high the way it's looking at the moment. So very bullish day. It looked like it was going to be a range early on, but the thing broke out and went higher, and we obviously closed higher and closed all-time contract high. You can see it there. Let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and take a look at it, and we'll go through those trades. There's a bunch of them today. It was a really, really good trading day. And here's a look at the 2000 tick chart. You can see it looked like a range early on, but we broke out here, didn't even check up, just continued higher. Just kept chopping higher and chopping higher. And turned out to be a really nice trading day. Lots of trades in here, multiple second entries, a lot of repeat type patterns, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I tried to demonstrate a trade with both of these today, but I just didn't have enough time. I only had maybe 30 minutes before lunch, and it was during this move up here, and I just couldn't get a setup, so didn't get a chance to demonstrate a trade. But anyway, I'll try to get one in and show you how these two, we have two different ones with option, and they work a little different. And actually, I think I like having them both on my chart because in some cases, the way this entry works, I like better. But there's a few instances where this entry works better that I like. Once you enter, other than the way the trades enter or set up, the two strategies work the same after that. And basically all you're doing is just clicking buttons instead of having to right click and enter the trade and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'll get some demonstrations out there when I can, and you can see how they work. But let's get through this. We may close on the high today. I mean, there's still 4 or 5 minutes left in this trading day, and we're still pushing up. So we may close on the very high of the day before it's over. Let's zoom in here and take a look at things. Okay, 7 o'clock came just as we're bouncing off these lows down here. This setup, this was a really nice setup, but this is like 650 something. So, you know, it's a little before 7. But if you were at your chart, at your trading screen and you saw that setup, I wouldn't be afraid to take it 5 minutes before. You could trade that. But it doesn't fall in our 7 o'clock window, so I didn't mark it. There's a higher low here, but moved too far, and you can see this big move here up. That's just a first entry, first entry, first entry. There's a second entry there, but no setup in there. It's actually a failed second entry long that reverses there. So I like going short just to ride it back to the EMA. It ends up continuing on. I don't know if you get a runner out of that or not. Doubtful. Depends on how you played it. There's another second entry short here, but I think that's too much congestion sideways working. Moves to but you get your close outside, move to a new low. You get a higher low here, but no setup. And then you get another second entry short here, but we've already had a break and a new low. I did not mark that one. It looks like the little trend up does play out. Notice you get a close outside the new high. The problem is this is an inside bar anyway, so you really can't take it. So I think you just have to watch that one. And then you make a double bottom here, but I think you could argue there's a triple test there. But again, this is not your signal bar. This bar makes one tick lower, and this is an inside bar. With that being a triple test on a bottom, though, I will say that I wouldn't be afraid to take that second entry right there. So we'll just go ahead and give it a green one. But you got to be careful with that because it's technically an inside bar, and they can really mess you up. They're not as reliable. I usually don't like taking them, but this is the one instance when it's on a support or resistance of that's been tested multiple times. Then you might take it. One tick may not make a difference. So, and you see it doesn't here, it just takes off. Pulls back here, just a first entry, and then it tries to go higher, and it makes a lower high here. Relatively small risk, 7 ticks. So I like that one. You don't know that it's going to take off like that, but it turns out to be a really nice trade. And if you drag this on across, you get this setup again. You actually get a higher low here. I marked that one green. If you take into account that we bounced here again, we went a little bit lower, then you might argue for that to be blue, because you could argue that's a second entry as well, because this looks like just a one leg down. So first entry and then second entry. So you could, it's close to being blue, but I made it green just because I wasn't crazy about it. I would have liked it better if this didn't push through, because it pushing through there is showing a little weakness. But either way, this would have still worked. And then it turns back down. There's a second entry here, but doesn't set up properly. Can't enter there. And you move to a new low on this channel here, and then you bounce and you got a channel working up. No setup there. There is a second entry short there, but no setup to go short. Turns out to be a really nice move, but it's just not a good setup. And I don't think you want to be trying to pick bottoms down here. You want a higher low, and you don't get that. Runs up, and then you get a break here with a first entry and a second entry with a nice signal bar. I like going long there. And then it gives you a higher low, so if you didn't enter here, you could definitely enter here, although it really takes off there, so I don't know that you'd get in that trade. It would be worth trying, and maybe you get lucky and the limit order gets filled. And then your trade, you get another one here. You get a little failed breakout, but that's the signal bar, so you can't enter on that second entry, or I wouldn't even count that as a second entry. It's just really a failed break lower. And then we get in this bigger channel, and you do get a triple test here. 1, 2, 3, at least. Maybe you could argue it's a quadruple test, but you got a lot of resistance at that midline, and you're not getting rejection down here. So it is back at a possible key entry point, but I think you just have to sit tight on that one. I marked it green, but I'm not crazy about it. Runs up, pulls back. You get a first entry, and then this makes a lower high. So a break above it's a second entry long. You don't get a new low here, but you are bouncing off this main trend line here and the EMA, so maybe you take that one. I marked it green. I'm not crazy about it at that point. But once you realize, if you saw that later in the day when you realize how strong this trend is, then yeah, by all means take that. But right there, it's a little early for that, in my opinion. And of course, it runs up. There is a second entry short here, but we're in an uptrend. Don't try to go short there. Runs up, but you get a close outside this channel, move to a new high, and you actually get 2 legs up. And there's actually a first entry, second entry right there. And we did bounce at this midline a couple of other times there. Actually, I take that back. You could still argue we came off that midline, but it's actually coming off this flatter one. And you wouldn't have, most people wouldn't necessarily find that one yet, because you don't have this low to mark it off of, really. And so without that secondary channel, I don't think you can take that trade. So I'm going to back off of that one. It is a second entry. It is at the a midline that we bounced at a couple of times in the end, but in real time, I don't think most of you aren't able to see that. So, I mean, you could draw a trend line right there too and say this is a spike in channel. So that's still a possibility you might see that. And if you did, then by all means you could take it, but I'm going to retract that one. So I just think it's a little too advanced for most people. Then we're working back. First entry, move to a new low, and you get a second entry long down here. Nice signal bar. You do have your break and new low as well. It doesn't end up taking off. It tries to go lower. And then you get a higher low right here. You could go long there if you weren't already in here. And that moves up. And then we're working long. Little failed breakout. That's also, by the counts, it's the second entry, although we're in a real tight range. So we're just going to play range rules here. And it's a little failed break lower that bounces off the main trend line. I like going long there. You see it's a nice move up. Same thing, two legs back again. Again, it looks like another little range. This one you could argue is trending both legs, so you could argue that's a second entry. So you could play that one both ways. Off it goes again. And then you get a close outside and move to a new high. And once again, you get two legs back. And you can see you get a close outside and a new low. And where does it bounce? Right off that flatter trend channel. Second entry long, go long right there. And then it comes back here and tests this support again on the first close outside this channel now. And that's a triple test. You might even argue that it's a failed second entry short, although it's not really a place you'd be looking for that. So I think you just have to trade this as a triple test. And nice signal bar, and off it goes. And you just get first entries all the way up. And now you got a break and a move to a new high. And it looks like we might correct. And we just continue to work sideways. But notice it comes back, close outside, tries to make a new low there. I don't think it quite makes one. 60.75. Yep, it makes a double bottom. But that's still a second entry long right there with plenty of room to get out. I like going long. And it keeps chopping sideways, comes back and gives you a triple test. Maybe you could argue it's a quadruple test. And another nice signal bar. Off it goes again. And that takes you into 230. So quite an interesting day. It's been a while since we've had a good rally like that with lots of second entries in it and repeat patterns like that. So it was a little slow in the morning. We talked about that the other day. Usually the mornings are the best, but it was a really good, really late morning on. It was a really good trading day. So anyway, not much else we can say about that. Again, I'm going to try to get you a trade example, a live trade example, using the two order entries here. They're just what chart buttons really that you just click on the button and you enter the trade. Again, the way this one works, let's say we're on this bar and it's printing. If you click buy or sell, it's going to put your buy or sell stop one tick above or below the bar that's already closed to the left of it. So your order is like when this finishes and you say, okay, this is finishing here, I want to go short below it. As soon as it's ended, you can click sell and it'll put a sell stop one tick below it. And that's similar to how we normally enter the trade. And I kind of like that most of the time. But if you, let's say you didn't enter here on this bar, and then you get this big bullish bar, and then this bar closes, but you wanted to go long above this one if it breaks above, then you can't go back and do that. But here it'll put it above the last bar printing. So if this bar was printing in real time and I clicked enable long, it wouldn't put a buy stop up there until this bar closes. So it waits for it to close and then it puts the order in. So it just speeds up the process a little bit of getting it up there. But if you don't like that bar, and you can't go back to the previous bar, or you can't go to the next bar, I guess you could cancel it and start over, yeah. So you could, but it just depends. I mean, there was one situation where this was the more obvious way to use to enter. And then there was another one where I like to use in this one. So I'm going to keep them both on the chart. And you got options that way. You can enter it however you see fit that works for you. So again, I will demonstrate some of them when I get a chance in live trade. But I only had about 30 or 40 minutes this morning and I couldn't find a trade in that window when I was looking for one. So we'll try it again tomorrow maybe. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.